Hello friends, it's Terry from Uncle Terry's Beginner Guitar. This is lesson number 16. We're going to talk about the minor scale and see how minor chords are fit into keys in music. So remember, with these lessons we're just adding a little bit of theory that may help us with our playing. You don't have to do this. You can go through your whole life as a guitar player, playing songs, playing chords, playing your major and minor chords, and having a great time and never even think about this stuff. And that's fine. But I think if you're interested in a little bit of theory, then I think this will help you understand some things about music and help if you're writing songs or figuring out songs that other people have written. I think these will be helpful things. Now, before we talk about how minor chords fit into keys, I think we're going to have to spend a little time talking about the minor scale. Now, just to review, we went through a lot about the major scale, the old do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And we talked about the intervals between the notes that make up the major scale. It doesn't matter if it's in the key of A or B flat or C sharp, it doesn't matter. You start with the root note, the scale that you're playing, say the A scale, and the intervals are the same with each scale. It doesn't matter what it is. And just to review briefly, for a major scale, the intervals for do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do are, play the root note, A. We'll start with A. We're going to play it all on the A string going up the neck. A, whole step. Remember, that's 2 frets on the guitar. Whole step. Half step. And then whole step, whole step, whole step. And finish on that A with a half step. So it's root note, whole step, half step, and then whole step, half step. And that's the major scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, for A. Now, a minor scale is different in that compared to its major scale, it has 3 flats. It is flattened by a half step, or a semitone is a half step, and on the guitar that's 1 fret. So when we're playing in A, we just went through the A major scale. When you're playing an A minor scale, the intervals are different. Starts on the root note, just like the major. Then you got a whole step up 2 frets. Then you've got a half step. Then you've got a whole step, a whole step, a half step, a whole step, and a whole step. So remember when we talked about how a minor chord is different from its major chord, we said that it was a flattened 3rd note in the scale that made a minor chord as compared to its major chord. So with A has a C sharp, 3rd note in the scale, A, B, C sharp, and A minor has a C, first fret on the B string. That's the minor chord. A minor scale has a flattened third, sixth, and seventh note compared to its major scale. So let's go through the A again. So you get, for the minor scale, we'll start with our root note, A. We'll go up a whole step to B. Then we'll play the C, the third fret. Then we got 2 whole steps, so that's the D. 7th fret is the E. Then we've got a half step to the F. A whole step up to the G. And a whole step up to the A. So that those flattened notes give it that sort of moody, darker sound that the minor scale or minor chords give. So one more time, A minor scale, root note is A, whole step up to B, half step up to C, whole step to D, whole step to E, half step, 1 fret to F, whole step, 2 frets up to G, and whole step up to A. So it starts in A and ends in A, but the intervals are different. The flattened 3rd, 6th, and 7th notes as compared to its major scale for the same chord. Now, that's kind of wonky and geeky, I know. But let's talk about something a little more musical. The chord in a key that is the minor chord called the relative minor. So we talked about the key of G, for example. The key of G, and we talked about what chords make up the key. It's the 1 chord, which is the root where you're starting, G. C would be the 4, D would be the 5, and back to G. The relative minor is the 6th chord, the 6th note in the scale, and that minor chord. So for the key of G, we would have G is 1, A is 2, B is 3, C is 4, D is 5, E is 6. So for the key of G, the relative minor would be E minor. See how they sound somewhat similar, and there's a reason why the G chord and the E chord, E minor chord, sound similar. And that's because the notes that make up their scales are the same. So let's play the G major scale, and we'll start with G. Then we'll play the A, we'll play the B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. And if we played an E minor scale, we'll do that up the neck on this low E string, and the notes are going to be the same as those for the G scale. We just start in a different place. Instead of starting with G, we're going to start with E. And we're going to use our intervals that we learned for the A minor scale. So there's our E. Whole step up to F sharp, just like G has an F sharp, E minor has an F sharp. Then a half step up to G note on the 3rd fret. Then a whole step up to A, a whole step up to B, half step up to C, whole step up to D, and a whole step up to E. Now, those notes are the same as the notes for G major. It's just starting in a different place. It starts with the E instead of the G. The most important thing is to know is that the relative minor in a key is the 6th note in the scale of that key, or the minor chord for that note. So G, A, B, C, D, E is 6, and E minor is the relative minor in the key of G. And you'll see that with songs, you probably know already, if you play a lot of songs, that there's a lot of E minors in songs that are in the key of G. It just sounds good. And you know that the E minor doesn't have to be the only minor in the key of G, just like G, C, and D don't need to be the only chords you play in a song written in the key of G. But it's a very prominent and common chord to be played in the key of G. Just like a wagon wheel heading down south to the land of the pine, drumming my way into North Carolina. So that E minor, it just fits. It fits well. And now you know why, because the notes are the same in the scale of E minor that they are for the G major scale. So let's talk about a couple of more keys. Let's talk about the key of C. What would be the relative minor for C? C is 1. It's the sixth note in the scale. C, D, E, F, G, A. So A minor. A minor, we won't run through all the notes, but the same notes that make up the C major scale make up the A minor scale. You just start on the A instead of the C. So if you play a lot of songs, you know there's a lot of A minors in songs that are written in the key of C. How about D? What would be its relative minor? Sixth note in the scale from D. D, E, F, G, A, B would be the 6th. So the relative minor for the key of D would be B minor. Listen to that. That sounds familiar, right? Riding on the city of New Orleans, Illinois Central Monday morning rail. So that B minor, man, it just sounds so good. It just fits right in. It gives it a lot of interesting emotional feel to put that B minor in when the song is in the key of D. One more, what would be the relative minor for the song written in the key of A, for the key of A? Sixth chord. So A is 1, B, C, D, E, F sharp. The F sharp is the sixth note in the A major scale. So that would be F sharp minor. For the key of A, its relative minor would be F sharp. Doesn't that sound good? F sharp and minor, F sharp minor and A. So those are the relative minors of those keys. And it's the same for any key. We could go through it with C sharp or E flat if you want, but we won't do that. You can do that on your own. So we'll end it with that, and just remember that the relative minor is the minor chord for the sixth note of the scale that you're playing the key in. And we'll go through some song structures and talk about what where minor chords fit in and where major chords fit in. Again, every song in the key of G doesn't have to have E minor. Lots of them do, but they could have others. And we'll talk about how other minor chords fit into different keys and give some examples. So I hope that's helpful. Everyone have a great day. Keep jamming, and we'll see you next time.